We do have Secretary of State John Thurston with us right now. And John, thanks so much for taking time and talking with us.
Well, Bob, thanks for having me.
You know, it's amazing. We talked to you when you were land commissioner, and I know you've now Secretary of State. And when you're so neck deep in all the things for the state right now, times are changing for sure.
It sure is. Even having folks working from home, which we do have some now, the workload has actually increased, believe it or not. I was talking to some of our staff the other day, and I said, how's it going? They said, it's going great. We're busier than we were before Corona hit. And a lot of that's due to date changes that have taken place, federal funding. You know, we were just talking before we came on about all these federal dollars. Well, designated some to go toward helping with the election in November. Just a lot going on. So, and it's affecting everyone. You know, hearts go out to those who have lost loved ones and whose jobs are being affected. But things are going well. We're going to make it.
Well, let's talk about the election. How is this going to affect the election? Now, there's so many people talking about postponing elections, and those are things you just can't arbitrarily do. So what's going to happen?
That's right. I'm of the opinion that we should not postpone any election at all. There are things in place that we can implement that will make it easier on folks. And I'll talk real quick about these federal dollars, and I call it the COVID grant, just to give it a name. You know, the pandemic, it's also creating serious challenges in the upcoming November election. I have the honor of being the chief election officer of the state, and we have been awarded a grant from the federal government. This is to help go toward issues that we're going to face in November. And so they've kind of left it, they had some guidelines, but it's still pretty loose, if you will, and kind of let the states handle it the way that they choose. But the counties are the ones who actually carry out elections. So we're going to help the counties with these federal dollars to do that. And in my mind, as we developed a full plan, but here's some of the things that we're looking at is to provide supplemental election equipment to the counties, help the counties with the cost associated with providing safe and secure polling sites for both poll workers and the voters. This includes, you know, deep cleaning of the polling site, as well as providing, you know, sanitizer, mask, gloves for the poll workers. Also, there will probably be an increase in absentee voting, which is available in Arkansas already, but we believe that people will probably use that method more this November. And so we're going to help the counties out with printing and postage and with additional staff if they need it. And there's a couple other things. I just don't want to go down the whole list, but another thought that I had, that what if we help the counties with these grant dollars lease out larger venues to have a polling site to where people, you know, the spacing out, the social distancing part of it. So a lot going on. We're looking forward to it. The election will go on, and I think folks are going to be pleased with how well it will go.
One thing you look at, too, I've noticed from a news release that the franchise tax is just for businesses. That's something else that's going to change. You can't change the date that it's due, but you can do some wavering. Talk about that for a moment.
That's right. You know, that this pandemic has really affected businesses, and especially small businesses. They're dealing with a lot of, you know, their statements and so forth, looking at their revenue that might have decreased. And so as Secretary of State, the Business Commercial Service Division is where corporations, to become incorporated, they also pay their franchise tax there as well. Even though I can't change the date of when those taxes are due, I do have the authority, or can, waive penalties and interest. So I would love to take credit for this thought, but it was actually some of the staff and that came up with, why don't we waive the penalties and interest? And so we're going to do that until July the 15th. So it kind of gives, it's due May the 1st, but if you get it in by July 15th, we're going to waive the penalties and interest. And we just feel like it's small, but it's something that we can do to maybe take a little bit of pressure. Not that the fees or the penalties are a large amount of money, but sometimes people are just trying to wrap their mind around this whole thing, and they may be late just because of that. Hopefully it will help someone.
Now, how has the coronavirus affected the entire state capitol, not only your office, but all the offices in the capitol?
You bet. You know, the state capitol is under my responsibility as well. And when the capitol in D.C. basically locked down, closed the doors to the public, and began cutting back on access, we did the same thing pretty much the same day, or it was the day following. You know, it's just, you gotta take it seriously. I mean, even though we don't want to have knee-jerk reactions and and respond out of fear. But a place like the Capitol, we have folks from all over the state, the nation, and even other countries. They come there quite a bit, to tour and take pictures. And so we just thought it would be best to do that. So that was our first step. We have some folks who are working from home, and so that was a big undertaking to get them to where they can access all of their work, their emails, any files that they may need access to from home. That was an undertaking. So we're doing everything we can, but we're hoping that this will soon pass. That's for sure.
So business is really working as usual. It's just some may be working from home and some are restricted, of course, going to the Capitol itself.
That's right. I mean, actually, like I say, workload is actually increased. As crazy as it may sound, something like the Business Commercial Service Division, they are being just swamped with, it's called PPP loan, the Payable Protection Plan, that the government is helping out these small businesses. Well, the small businesses have to get their articles of corporation together, so they have to call us and get those. So we have just been swamped with that. It's a good thing that they're getting help, but it's definitely increased the workload. And of course, November election's coming. We're trying to figure out how we're going to implement that and carry that out. The census, there's something that's very interesting. It's not a done deal yet, but it's being proposed that the census deadlines or the dates be pushed back. So if that happens, if this goes through, the deadline for the census data to be passed down to the states would be July the 31st of 21. Previously, this deadline was March the 31st, 2021. So this would not change the way the lines are drawn when it comes to redistricting in 2021, but it could create a time crunch for the state and the county and the cities and schools to draw the lines before the candidates file in 2022, because you have to have those lines drawn before people file to run for office in 2022. So the pandemic, I tell you, it's affected everything. But again, I keep saying this, we're going to make it, but it's a lot of work, that's for sure.
It is, and that's something we all are going to hang on, and we're doing a good job. As the governor keeps saying, Arkansans have done a good job with social distancing, and when they can't social distance, now masks, and we've beat the curve. I think we flattened it, and that's positive news for Arkansas for sure.
You bet. I think so. I do want to give kudos to the governor. I mean, he, whether you agree with his philosophy or some of the things he may have done in the past, I really agree or disagree. I really believe he's done an outstanding job dealing with the pandemic that we're facing. So we need to pray for him. He's our governor, so we need to pray for him and keep moving forward.
We've been talking with Secretary of State John Thurston here on KFFB's Open Mic. And John, thanks so much for taking time and talking with us.
Bob, I appreciate it.